So, in part two, we talked about how there is no such thing as the outside, that nothing is outside of you, that everything that is happening is inside of you. So, from there are a couple directions we can take further into ourselves to try and gain an understanding of what that means and what are the possibilities that opens up for us. As a practice, one thing that you can try is to say yes 3 times inside of your head. And so you can try right now, and in your inside voice, you can say yes 3 times. And that should be available to you. And what that means is that you're not the voice in your head. You're whatever controls the voice in your head. So that means that you are not every thought that you ever had. And this also applies to emotions. You are not every emotion that you've ever had. You are what experiences those emotions, or what is observing those emotions. And just as you can say yes 3 times in your head, I can prove that it is also possible for you to, and I won't say control, I will say to influence your emotions and how you feel about situations through changing your filters. And so we'll take a mundane situation of getting cut off in traffic. You get cut off in traffic, and suddenly there's something that arises in you. There's an angry feeling, or some kind of feeling that comes from the fact that your safety might have been put at risk. Now, without any other information, you feel a certain way about that. I'll give you an additional information. The person who cut you off in traffic was actually rushing to the hospital to get there because their pregnant wife was giving birth. Are you still angry? Do you feel it was more justified? Does that change your interpretation of the situation? For most people, if they know that they've been cut off and there was a good reason for it, it will change how they feel about the situation. Now, most of life will not give you the context of what is happening. There is no way for you to know when someone cuts you off in traffic why they did it. However, you can choose an explanation that will allow you to feel the way that you want to feel for what is happening. It really doesn't matter, except for you, whether you believe that this person is not a good person and is cutting you off in traffic because they are X, Y, and Z, versus you believing that this person has a really good reason for doing it and therefore you feel better about it. The only thing that changes in the universe when you do that is how you feel about the situation. And you can provide whatever explanation makes you feel good in that situation. And it really has no impact except on how you feel. And so the stories that you tell yourself about what is happening to you have an impact on how you feel. And that is one of the abilities that we have. Our minds are filters. They filter the world for us, and they interpret the world for us. And we can train our attention, our awareness, so that it feeds us information in a way that allows us to go through the world in the way that we want to feel about the world. And so you can go through the world in a benevolent universe if you decide that when a story comes up, you become aware of it. First of all, you become aware that this is a story. And then you find a story that allows you to feel good about a situation. And some of the times doing that can be bypass. But some of the times, like getting cut off in traffic, there really is no bad outcome from doing it. It's just more positive in your life. And those moments add up over time. And it makes it so that you're living in a more benevolent universe. And as you learn to do that, you learn to direct your attention to the things that are good and to the things that make you feel better. And you train your mind to not just be on the lookout for bad outcomes, but also to be on the lookout for better interpretations and interpretations that are kinder both towards the outside world. But because your mind is also the tool that you use to look internally, it will also help you when you turn your attention towards your internal world to have an interpretation of your internal world. So the world of feelings, emotion, perceptions, that is kinder when you're going through something or when you do something that you might not be proud of in the moment and that you don't necessarily, you aren't necessarily happy that you acted in certain ways. Because you're training your mind to be kinder or to evolve in a more benevolent universe, you're also going to start being more benevolent towards yourself. And so what you let in your filter and how you calibrate that filter, what you make relevant to you, will ultimately shape your perception of the universe. And as we've determined before, because there's no such thing as outside of you, it will also change your perception of yourself. And those things add up over time, where you will literally feel like you're now evolving in a different universe, where your perception of what is going on is going to be so different that you're not going to believe where you're at and that it's the same place. The center of that is perception and awareness. and retraining our judgment. And I'll talk a little bit more about judgment in the next video.